Hello there. Are you sure you're in the right place? See the name on the door? This podcast is Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. Surely you don't want to come in here. You do. Well, I must warn you that things are pretty adult in here. Absolutely no children are allowed. Obscene language, shocking and horrendous stories to chill you to your core, and terrifying tales that'll keep you up at night. The ladies inside aren't quite right. Lovely and hilarious, but very strange. Still want in, do you? Well, you'll get what you're here for. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to this week's Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. I'm Tash.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Becky. Hi. Hello.
Hi there. I wonder if we'll ever get an intro where someone doesn't forget something.
I don't even know what I was thinking about. Just daydreaming, I think.
Just waiting for it to come on in.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Story of my life.
How are you lovely ladies this week?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm a bit moody because I'm on a diet, and diets are the worst thing ever.
They're the worst.
They are.
But do what makes you happy, babe.
I'm determined to lose 20 kilos for a wedding I've got to go to next year.
You can do this.
So, 20 kilos by May of next year.
You've got this.
I've got my little app that's counting my calories, and I'm doing intermittent fasting as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, life is just a bundle of fucking joy. On the plus side, it is working. I've lost a little bit so far.
Amazing. Well done.
But don't diets, aren't they just the fucking worst?
Oh, they're shit.
Awful.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's miserable.
Yeah. And then all you think about is food.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. What about you guys? Out. New?
I had the wildest day yesterday at work.
What happened? Did a pony come in?
No, but if it had have come in, it
wouldn't have surprised you.
It wouldn't have even fazed me that day. So I had to let somebody go for the first time.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep. So I was sort of like, I just felt, a bit rubbish after that. But these things have to happen.
How did they take it?
Well, probably not as well as I would have liked.
Oh, no, that sucks.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I felt awful, but I did it the kindest way possible. Then I had a customer who was having a mental health crisis.
Oh, dear.
So,
gosh.
Yep. That was quite a lot, and I sat with her and helped her as much as possible. Whilst that was happening, maybe the craziest thing of all was, so I was sat with this lady, looking after her whilst waiting for somebody to come and support her. And I heard a massive bang on one of the windows that wasn't ours, but was the shop next door's. And there was a teenage boy that had another teenage boy up by the neck against the window. So I banged on my window, ran outside and went, "Oi, you, get off him."
Go on, Tash.
I don't know what took over me. Like, I just thought, no, I'm not going to sit here and just watch. I'm going to do something.
No, of course not.
He then turned around and told me to fuck off and mind my own business. I went, "Not on my watch. Get off him." And all this time, he's still got him pinned up. I went, "Get off him now or I'm going to call the police." Then he let him go and then, came at me. And I was
did a bit of a chav thing.
He was going, fuck off, but coming at me.
Oh, God.
And I was just like, all right, little boy, all right. And then...
Should have gone, "I know your mum."
And he ran off again, grabbed the other boy again, and then like had him and was like going to punch him. And I said, I told you to get off him. He then like really ran at me and was going, fuck off, mind your own business, fuck off. And then I said, come on then, big boy. Don't know who I think I am. Honestly, I'm not.
I love how you
right.
turn into like a West End
Peggy
bouncer.
Mitchell.
Oh yeah,
Exactly
Peggy
right.
Mitchell. Get in my pub.
Yeah, it's a very English niche reference.
From
Peggy Mitchell.
From EastEnders.
From EastEnders. But look it up, Peggy Mitchell, EastEnders, and that was me yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they then ran off, they scarpered, and then I went back inside, and obviously all my customers heard the commotion. I was like, I'm ever so sorry. I'm so sorry I shouted. I just couldn't sit back and watch that happen.
I was ever so perplexed.
I'm ever so sorry. Oh, I shouldn't have shouted like that. They all said, oh, well done. Yeah, good on you saying something. I think my team members have got a newfound respect for me, and I think they realise that I will let you cry on my shoulder and potentially snot on me, but I also will fight you.
Yes. Were these teenage boys like in uniform that age, or is it just a little bit older than that?
No. But some of the girls from work knew them from school, and they're not the nicest students in the school, shall we say?
Yeah.
So yeah, I now fight teenage boys.
Hey, I hiss at them and meow at them, and you fight them. See,
And I just shout at them like an absolute fisher's wife. But I just, don't fight in front of my cafe. Go away.
no, quite. Well, you sound like a blinking hero.
It was just a lot. I needed a wine last night, and it was very good when I got one.
Yes, I bet. Becky, save anyone?
No, I feel really inferior now.
I mean, I potentially saved 2 people,
Well, yeah, exactly. There's me whinging about my diet. Tasha's out there saving the fucking world.
I just don't know what came over me in that moment. Just pure like mama bear mode.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It was like, but I have been known, when you see like kids fighting and you're driving, like I will wind down the window and shout at them and tell them to stop.
Mm.
Or if they're messing around near the road, like I don't like to see people in danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just shouted at them.
Bless you. Thank God he didn't have a knife and he didn't actually come at you.
Well, I did say that after. So this is my problem. So as much as we're laughing and saying good on me, should I be shouting at somebody, come on then, big boy? Like that's, like I said to the girls, they was like, oh, I'd never do that. And I said, listen, it's not, my reaction isn't necessarily a good one because that could land me in trouble.
Yeah.
In terms of getting hurt.
Yeah. But it's like a natural reaction, fight or flight.
Oh, listen, when that reaction takes over, you just go. Like I didn't even think about it. I just literally ran out there and was like, oi. But, in hindsight, it's not the safest reaction because, like you say, knife crime isn't necessarily a major issue in the area where I live. But that doesn't mean that they don't have knives and they don't,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's done now. I mean, the thing is, sitting back and doing nothing is also wrong. So, I don't know.
There was people about and nobody else said anything, which actually baffles me.
Yeah. I think I would have had to get involved.
I probably didn't need to do it. So,
come on, big boy.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Probably antagonising him more probably isn't the good idea. But, you want to be a big boy, come and fight me then. And I'd just like to also say I'm completely all mouth. I've actually never fought anyone. I've never had a physical fight.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't go any further for everyone involved.
I would literally cry if someone tried to attack me. So yeah, that's the excitement in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Bex, anything to add?
Look, No. I haven't been
I got nothing.
I've got nothing. What have I been doing this week? Just work. I went to the gym twice, so I'm practically Superman.
Congratulations.
Last night and today, we ate tartiflette, and I also made a crumble, so bye-bye sport. That didn't do anything.
Well, that's balance.
I'll say what I'm doing is I'm getting myself comfortable for winter and just piling on all the heavy food and comfortable blankets.
Yeah, a little bit of extra insulation.
Like a little squirrel. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just getting ready. Yeah.
She had tartiflette last recording as well. You're just a tartiflette monster.
I
did. Yeah, I do love a bit of, but now I'm fed up of it. I'm not going to have it for ages. I have to eat the same meal again and again and again, and then I'll just get fed up with it.
I do that. I can't eat blue cheese sandwiches anymore because I'm on a fucking diet.
Oh, well.
Oh, that terrible sandwich.
Can't say I'm sad about that.
I'm very sad. Who's starting this week?
Do ip dip do.
Ip dip petty chip.
No, we can't do that. Who started last week? I think you started, Bex. Fit.
Yes, it was me. Yeah, so it's you.
So shall I start? Are you ready to be scared shitless? Because this is a scary one.
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you ready? I bet you are, aren't you? You're like, let's have it then.
I'm ready.
Come on then.
Come on in, big girl.
Big girl.
Yeah, you think you're hard enough?
Please, big lady. Manners. Oh, that's hilarious. Right, this week I am going to talk about, have you heard about the film called The Haunting in Connecticut?
Yes.
I've heard about it. I've never watched it.
I can't remember if I've watched it or not, but I've definitely heard about it. Anyway, it's based on a true story, and I'm about to tell you all about it. So, in 1986, Carmen and Alan Snedeker, so that's a name.
Have you mentioned The Haunting in Connecticut before on another story?
I hope not. No, I've never done this story before, I'm sure.
No, but I think you just mentioned it.
Maybe. Carmen and Alan Snedeker were at an all-time low. Their teenage son Philip had been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, a rare type of cancer. They had found a good hospital for his much-needed treatment in Hartford, Connecticut, but it was 150 miles away. So they did the 300-mile round trip, a few times, but quickly realised that it's just not feasible for them to continue and decided that they needed to look for a place nearer to the hospital, at least until Philip's treatment was finished. They found a spacious rental property in Southington, just a short drive from the hospital, with affordable rent. Carmen and Alan thought that maybe their luck was changing. They, of course, were very wrong.
Ooh. Sorry, that was a horrible noise.
No, but it was fitting. The Snedekers moved their 5 children, Philip, Bradley, Alan Jr. and Jennifer, plus Carmen's niece, Tammy, to their new residence, 208 Meriden Avenue, on the 20th of June. As the kids ran in to decide whose bedroom was going to be whose, the 2 eldest teenage sons, Philip and Bradley, made their way down into the basement to see if they could set up camp down there. This is where things began to get strange. In the basement, they found mortuary equipment, like tools for embalming bodies. There was also a gurney with straps, toe tags, and other unsettling items. Upon further inspection, Alan found some photos of seemingly dead people in some old cabinets that were still in the house.
Oh.
So that's a nice find when you move in.
Yeah.
It's better than, I don't know. I don't know what it's better than.
Oh, Tash.
I don't know. Better than
Just
something,
wanted to come in with some. She was like, I'm going to start this sentence, and by the time I get to the end, I would have thought something.
Better than a real dead person. I'd rather find photos than a dead person. There you go.
There. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Carmen was alarmed by all of this, so she rang the landlord, who confirmed the house had indeed been the Hallahan funeral home and had operated for decades before closing and being rented out as a residence.
Ugh.
I know. Heart sinks. The landlord insisted that he had told Carmen about this before she signed the lease. She has no recollection of such a fact and felt like it was the kind of detail she wouldn't have forgotten.
Well, yeah.
She couldn't go down into the basement when she took a tour of the property, as there were builders in doing repairs and all their tools had been blocking the doorway. And she probably thought, it's a basement, a basement's a basement, who cares? Either way, it was what it was. The family were there now, and not being superstitious, they decided it didn't really matter. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the two boys thought it was cool to have their bedroom set up in an old embalming room. Moody, edgy teenagers and all that.
Yeah.
Of course, the peace and excitement was very short-lived. The first signs of trouble were subtle but immediate. Lights that had yet to be filled with light bulbs began to flicker unpredictably. As unnerving as this would seem, the family chalked it up to faulty wiring and thought no more of it. The doors would creak open and shut on their own, and shadows seemed to float around when no one was moving. At first, these were attributed to the quirks of an old house, because that's what everyone who moves into a haunted house does. But soon, dismissing the signs became impossible. Carmen began to hear faint conversations coming from empty rooms. She heard voices that spoke in hushed, urgent tones, but never clearly enough to understand. When she entered the room she suspected the voices to be coming from, she would shiver with cold and her breath would become visible as if she'd entered a walk-in freezer. Philip's demeanour began to change. He spoke of figures he saw at night, dark, human-like shapes that he would catch out of the corner of his eye, disappearing when he turned to face them. These figures seemed drawn to him, as if they recognised his vulnerability. His parents put this down to the stress of his illness, but Philip's reports grew increasingly disturbing. He described one figure in particular, a young man with long dark hair who would stand and stare at him and at times whisper his name in a chilling, repetitive tone.
Philip, 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 Philip.
The presence would sometimes threaten him, filling Philip with paralysing fear. Along with the whispers that Carmen could more or less always hear came a smell. The smell of rotting flesh.
Oh.
Pretty standard.
I don't like smelling rotten flesh.
I've never smelt it, but I'm guessing it's not very pleasant.
Have you never been by a farm when they've had a dead cow? That's what I meant. I assume it's the same smell.
I imagine something like that.
Yeah.
The smell was so strong it would make her eyes water. The family would open windows and doors trying to get fresh air in the house, but nothing helped. The smell came and went on its own accord, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. Philip's behaviour grew increasingly erratic, and the basement, where he and his brother slept, seemed to be the epicentre of the paranormal activity. The cold, damp air was suffocating, and there was an energy that made it difficult to breathe. Philip began speaking in a voice that wasn't his own, a deep, guttural, almost animalistic voice. He would mention the young man with the long black hair and the voices that spoke to him when he was alone. His family members would catch him staring off into nothing whilst mumbling incomprehensible things under his breath. They were so concerned about his mental state that he was hospitalised, suspecting that his treatments were giving him hallucinations. But this was not the case, as soon as he was away from the home, his behaviour and personality became normal and not all weird and spooky. The physical manifestations spread throughout the house. The girls reported having their bed covers ripped off them in the middle of the night, even though when this happened, neither one saw anything, but they both said that they could feel a very menacing presence in the room with them. Reflections in mirrors began to change. The family would catch glimpses of ghostly faces that were not their own staring back at them, eyes hollow and filled with evil intent. These apparitions were fleeting but unmistakable, reinforcing the feeling that they were not alone and that the house was most definitely haunted as fucking fuck. Can you imagine that? You look at yourself in the mirror and it's not you and it's some like black-eyed ghost going...
I don't think I'd enjoy that.
No, I don't think it would be a nice experience. Think about it next time you look in a mirror.
Oh, you know, like when you wash your face and then you wipe your hand with a towel, I'm always scared that, you know, like in Casper where he washes his face and then he looks and then his face changes into those different people.
I can't remember that.
I don't remember that either, but look at my face whilst I'm washing it.
After, when you wipe it, when you pat dry, then you should pat.
Yes, pat. Always pat.
Why are we patting?
You've got to be gentle with your face. You should pat all your skin dry. You shouldn't.
When you wash it, you're supposed to pat it dry with a towel.
I'm not a patter. I'm a definite rubber.
You're a rubber.
Yeah.
I know you were, you little slag.
And like you shouldn't like rough your hair with a towel either.
Well, I'm just doing life completely wrong.
And Emma's the one with the longest, luscious hair,
thickest hair
ever.
Is that why? It's just because it's so poofy.
It's like I can, all your hair is like Tash on that street with that lad. Like, come on then, hit me with the towel, hit me. Street Tash.
I'd have had big hoops in. They would have been out.
They would have been out.
Heels kicked off. Come on then. Poor Carmen and Alan experienced some of the most invasive attacks. She would wake up in the night, pinned to her bed, unable to move, as an invisible force held her down. She described feeling hands touching her in a horrifyingly sexual way. Alan reported similar experiences, waking to a suffocating weight on his chest, as though something was pressing down with unnatural force. He even described that sometimes he felt something sodomizing him, leaving him completely traumatized and feeling helpless.
That's not cool.
That's definitely not cool. On more than one occasion, the family found deep, burning scratches on their bodies, marks that seemed to appear overnight. These scratches stung and burned as if freshly made, a physical reminder that whatever haunted the house could reach out and not only touch them, but could, and intended to, hurt them. In another terrifying moment, Carmen was in the kitchen, trying to clean and maintain some type of normalcy. She noticed that the water in the mop bucket had darkened. Looking closer, she realised the liquid had turned into a deep crimson red, thick, dark, and unmistakably resembling blood.
Sounds like it.
She was obviously revolted and scared, but amusingly, in my research, she seemed more worried about ruining the floors. That definitely wouldn't have been my first go-to worry if my mop water turned to blood, but hey.
No.
The children were not spared. They would wake up screaming, claiming that cold, unseen hands had gripped their ankles or pushed them down onto their beds. Philip's behaviour reached a breaking point when he put his brother on the old gurney left behind from the funeral home. Philip, with wide, vacant eyes, spun him around, reenacting some type of ritualistic scene, as if possessed by a force he couldn't fight. There had been stories about the funeral home when it had been open. It is said that the employees partook in necrophilia and other bizarre behaviours that should definitely not be done to dead bodies. But these claims, I must admit that I haven't verified them, so I'm just going to say allegedly.
Yeah.
One evening, Philip snuck up into his cousin's bedroom. They were of similar age and had always been very close. However, recently she had witnessed the change in his personality, and his presence made her uneasy. He had been spending more and more time alone in the basement, after his brother had moved out into another room of the house, and she was almost glad that he wasn't around the family so much. Obviously, this particular evening, Philip had decided it was time for a visit. Tammy was fast asleep, but the eerie feeling of being watched startled her awake. And sure enough, At the foot of her bed, she saw Philip, smiling back at her sadistically. He pounced, ripped away the bedsheets, and began crawling up the bed on all fours. Tammy began screaming, and Carmen and Alan rushed in and grabbed hold of Philip before he could hurt her. After this, Philip was sent away to live with relatives. But as he left the family home, he warned them that with him gone, the evil would come after them now. I don't like the idea of waking up to somebody going,
Crawling up the bed. No, thank you.
no,
Yeah, it's not for me.
awful. And sure enough, the whole family began experiencing relentless terror. Objects moved on their own and furniture shifted positions. Chairs would slide across the floor and dishes would clatter as if someone or something was handling them. One evening, Carmen had set the table for dinner, and as she was going to get something from the kitchen, all the dishes mysteriously had been put back in the cabinets. It made her stomach drop because she realised she was alone in the house. There's something about that really creeped me out. You've set the table, you've got all your plates out, you nip to go and get some cutlery or something, and you go back and the table's clear.
Yeah, awful.
Horrendous.
There's some things, isn't there, you could question whether you actually did it, but you'd know if you'd set the table.
Well, I think she probably did. She was like, oh, maybe I didn't do it, but still, you'd be like, fucking hell, that's scary.
Yeah.
Later on that same day, when Carmen was in the shower curtain attacked her. And I know this sounds almost comical, but picture how clingy the curtain gets when wet. You know, when you touch it and it kind of glues to you.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Now picture it gluing itself to your body all over, slowly making its way up to your neck and face, clinging so tightly to your skin that you can't breathe. Yeah, it's not very comical, is it?
No.
Carmen obviously fought the curtain as much as she could and made quite a noise in doing so, making Tammy rush in to help her. As soon as she did, the shower curtain fell limp and Carmen was free. Another occasion, it's poor Carmen again. She really does seem to be going through it. Another occasion, as Carmen was laying in bed, an overwhelming chill swept through the room. She gasped, struggling to inhale, as a heavy, cold hand seemed to wrap around her neck. Alan rushed to her side, hearing her gasps, finding her wide-eyed and panicked. He must have scared away whatever was attacking her, as she soon regained the ability to speak, and said that her back hurt. Alan checked and saw deep scratches running down her back. The wounds looked as though they had been made by claws. Desperate, and feeling abandoned by any conventional solution, Carmen reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, the renowned paranormal investigators. Yeah.
We've heard of these before.
Yeah.
They did the conjuring, didn't they?
Yeah, they dealt with...
They were there.
Yeah. The renowned paranormal investigators known for tackling some of the most intense hauntings. Lorraine, a clairvoyant, felt the heavy, oppressive presence the moment she stepped inside. Ed, familiar with cases of demonic activity, concluded that the house was infested with entities feeding off the family's fear and Philip's illness.
Scumbags.
Indeed, parasites. The Warrens moved in and began their investigation.
They do love to move into people's houses, don't they?
Yeah, they're just like, we're staying. Well, I guess if you're going to, you need to be there all the time.
Maybe they haven't got a home and they just go.
I think they do. I think it's just one big con.
Yeah, just sofa surfing.
The Warrens moved in and began their investigation, documenting phenomena and setting up equipment throughout the house. They confirmed that dark energy clung to every corner. Lorraine described seeing spirits trapped within the house, their faces etched with suffering. She saw the young man with the long black hair standing silently at the edge of the room, his eyes staring back at her with cruel and menacing intent. The Warrens decided that an exorcism was necessary. They enlisted the help of a priest, and the ritual began as the sun set. The family huddled together, surrounded by holy symbols, and began to pray. The air turned bitterly cold, and their breath became visible in the dim light. The house seemed to fight back. Windows rattled and the walls shook. The voices rose in a chorus of deafening whispers. During the exorcism, Lorraine saw the young man with the long hair standing defiantly, as if he had no intention of leaving. And indeed, the entity's resistance was palpable. A clash between light and dark. The family held on to one another as the energy in the room peaked, the oppressive weight bearing down on them. And then, just as dawn broke, the whispers ceased. The room fell silent, and the house seemed to sigh in relief. The Warrens declared the exorcism a success, and for the first time in months, an unnatural silence settled over the house, and the family felt a glimmer of hope. The Snedekers moved out shortly after the exorcism, grateful to be free of the nightmare, but scarred by what they had endured. Their story was documented and later adapted into books and movies, stirring both belief and skepticism. Author Ray Garton, who worked on their story, mentioned inconsistencies, and skeptics pointed out that later residents reported no unusual activity. The landlord denied any prior complaints of a haunting. Yet, for the Snedekers, the haunting was no myth. They had lived through hell and never went back on anything they had described. Philip went into remission, but sadly the cancer came back. And he died in 2012 at the age of 38, leaving behind his wife and children.
Aww, poor lad.
And there you go. That is the true story behind the film The Haunting in Connecticut.
Well, bravo. But it was horrible.
It wasn't very nice, was it?
It was a good story and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't like it.
It was nice, but I don't like it.
It was lovely.
Not for me.
I don't like it.
Thanks for trying, though, babe.
It's all right. It's all right. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I've got to find the horrible, spooky, demonic shit.
It's true.
It's a shame that there isn't a way that we could sit in the dark and listen to your stories. It wouldn't be do much for the video, but it'd make me a lot more scared.
I don't think that is a shame, actually. Close your eyes if you want, Becky.
No, because I know the light's just there.
I don't know if it, now we can actually see each other when we're recording. I don't know if it takes away a bit.
I do think it takes some of it away.
Yeah.
Just
you feel less scared when it was
because
just...
we're like together now.
Yeah.
Like I know we were, but we weren't. We're still not, but
we can see each other.
Yeah.
Oh. Well.
Becky?
Rebecca. Madame.
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
What do your French colleagues call you? Is it Becky or Rebecca?
Rebecca.
Isn't it funny though? Because when I lived in France, obviously everyone called me Natasha and it didn't bother me in the slightest. If people called me Natasha now, I'd be like...
You'd feel like being told off.
I'd be like, who are you talking to?
What have I done?
Yeah. Like, people don't even know that my name's Natasha. So I've got... no, honestly, I've got an N pendant on my neck. Not just my neck.
Just on your neck. Stuck on there.
And people are like, why do you wear an N? What's that stand for? I'm like, Natasha?
Well, they just think your name's Tash.
Yeah, because I'd never introduced myself as Natasha ever.
No, I mean, yeah, you can't. My name's too short to really fanny about with, but English people call me M.
Yeah.
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 But like friends call me M.
Yeah.
But you go to your doctor and be like, bonjour, je m'appelle M.
Je m'appelle M.
They'd be like, comme la lettre, M.
Just the letter. Just, but the school never call Maddie, my daughter.
Oh, yeah.
She's Madison all the time. Madison.
Yeah.
For some reason I was going to say Madeleine. Madeleine. No, not the right name.
No. All her little school friends, when I drop her off, it's, hey, bonjour, Madison.
It's cute, though. I think it's so cute.
Does she introduce herself as Maddie or Madison?
I'm not sure if she ever introduced herself. She's so shy, bless her heart.
Yeah. She's just like, bonjour.
Yeah, she's so shy, bless. She found out this week that she needs glasses. Well, we found out that she needs glasses. So I took her to get her first couple of pairs because you know, it's always a buy one pair and you get the second for like €1 or something.
Yeah.
And she was so upset and I could see her getting overwhelmed because, yeah, well, it is strange, isn't it, when you wear glasses for the first time and you're not used to seeing yourself.
Does she have to wear them all the time?
No, only for school and like reading.
Yeah.
And that she wouldn't let it show because there was the optician there who was being a bit pushy, not pushy, but handling Maddie. Yeah, you know, Maddie's very sensitive. And she was like, well, I know you don't like them, but you're going to have to pick a pair because you need them. And I'm like, actually, it's not helping the situation. So I very politely said, why don't you guys just go and have a walk around while me and Maddie have a chat and see what if I can help her find something.
Oh, yeah.
Because I could see tears welling up in her eyes as this lady's going, well, you're just going to have to pick something. I'm like, easy, mate.
What bitch?
Yeah, she was.
Calm down.
She didn't mean it nastily. But it's just her. You know, it's
I'll tell you who would have come out then. Becky Mitchell.
Street Tash. Hoops
Street
out.
Tash.
I'd have been like, can you not talk to my kid like that? Actually,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all sorted. Murder.
Yeah.
murder.
Yes. And have I got a story for you? Ha ha.
Ooh.
Because that's my job in this podcast, is to provide a story every time.
You are one of the storytellers. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy because when I tell a story in real life, I'm terrible at doing it because there's about 1 million side quests. And then I'm like, and then this, and then, and I forgot to tell you this.
Sorry.
And,
Becky, you're saying that like we don't have 1 million side quests on here as well.
I was going to say that's just normal. Like I thought I got through that story fairly smoothly.
Really
actually.
smoothly, actually. Well done. It's because I'm hungry.
We're recording earlier tonight, so you're not getting the giddy, exhausted spine chillers and serial killers.
No.
You're just getting the normal.
You're getting the serious.
but slightly hangry. Yeah. And my husband came to the door with a plate of food, and then I could see it ticking in his brain. He was like, oh no, she's recording a podcast. She can't eat nuggets while she's recording a podcast. So I think he's gone to put it in the microwave until I've finished.
You should have told him they were shit when he was an arsehole.
No, not for nuggets. How can you do nuggets wrong? And we have an air fryer, so easy peasy lemon squeezy. Right, so I'll get on with my story then, and then I can free you both and let you have your dinner, because I can smell mine.
And you can go and have some nuggets.
Nuggets. Right. Dr. Ricardo Paniagua, which I think is spelled how you pronounce it, known to his friends as Ricky, he first met Brenda, who was captivated by his charm. As a young, handsome and successful doctor...
Hello.
So, ka-ching, Ricky seemed perfect, and Brenda was thrilled to have met him. Eager to secure their budding relationship, she asked him if she could move in with him just 3 months after they started dating.
Oh.
When you know, you know.
Not really when one of you has to push the other one into it happening. 3 months. Well, just depends. Though Ricky was initially hesitant, feeling it was a little bit too soon, he couldn't deny his feelings and eventually agreed.
Okay, I retract what I said. If he was hesitant, then it's too soon.
Yeah. If they were both like, yeah, go on then.
Ben just it must have been a couple of weeks and he was pretty much just staying at mine all the time anyway. It just happened like naturally.
Yeah. I think that's different. I think she was like, I want to move in, I want to move in, I want to move in.
Yeah, he didn't like bring a suitcase or anything. He did go home sometimes.
Yeah. So by early 2014, after a year together, things were progressing well. Ricky even gave Brenda a promise ring.
Oh.
The two began discussing marriage. It seemed like their relationship was well on track until trouble began to brew.
It's always trouble with our podcast. Always trouble.
Always trouble ahead. One of the biggest obstacles they faced was Ricky's family, who didn't approve of Brenda. Moreover, Brenda's intense jealousy became a strain on their relationship.
Oh no, not jealousy.
She would often accuse Ricky of flirting or even cheating, convinced that other women were constantly after him. This possessiveness created a growing rift between them. Have you ever been a really jealous girlfriend?
No,
I don't think I've ever seen you in that light whatsoever.
I'm just not.
I think I've had parts when I was a little bit more insecure than others, but never been like, why are you looking at that
I think
girl?
insecurity, yes. If ever I've been insecure, I've always been right about the person I've been insecure about or worried about. So,
Yeah, you've got a good radar for those types of people.
I've very, very much so have.
And also, though, if you feel that way about a relationship, you just like can't bother. You're just like, nah, I can't bother with this. Bye.
Exactamon.
Yeah. So by July 2014, Ricky decided to end things. Wanting to soften the blow, he explained to Brenda that he needed time by himself, but suggested they remain friends. A bit like, it's not you, it's me, I just need a bit of time by myself to chill. But despite her pleas to stay together, Ricky had made up his mind. However, Brenda had no intention of leaving his life completely.
No, it's gonna happen.
She sounds a little bit like a bunny boiler.
Little bit possessive. After the breakup, Brenda took Ricky's offer of friendship quite literally, finding every opportunity to be near him. Whenever Ricky needed help around the house, she would show up ready to assist. Eventually, this constant presence led Ricky to ask her to stop coming over just like unannounced. But Brenda, he'd kind of forgotten this part. Brenda actually had a spare key to the apartment. When they split up, I would thought that he got the key back or just didn't get around to asking for it and forgot. So Brenda had the spare key to his apartment, so she would use it to enter his apartment whenever he wasn't home.
Ugh.
Yeah. This marked the beginning of her more invasive behaviour. Using her access to his home, Brenda started checking Ricky's computer and his bank accounts. She even jotted his passwords down for all of his social media. Anything that he had lying around, she'd write them down so that she had them too. Ricky, meanwhile, was moving on. He actually signed up for dating sites really quickly after they split up. Ricky kind of wanted to split up with her, but wanted to let her down slowly rather than saying, right now, I don't think this is working, this is finished. And then he could have been a little bit more honest, but I really think it was coming from a side of he didn't want to hurt her.
I mean, let's face it, breaking up with anybody sucks.
It sucks. Yeah, it's not nice. So he signed up for dating sites, and Brenda quickly caught on to his every move. She began to accidentally bump into him during his dates, appearing at restaurants or cafes with the usual, oh, fancy seeing you here. It wasn't just limited to his dates either. She'd appear in the park where Ricky jogged, and always seemingly by chance. How did Brenda know where Ricky would be at all times? She had access to his iCloud, where she was tracking him through the Find My iPhone app.
Oh, no.
But her relentless pursuit was about to face a turning point. In May 2015, Ricky met another doctor who was actually a dentist, Kendra Hatcher. So Kendra was a 35-year-old pediatric dentist living in Gables Park, an upscale high-rise in Dallas's uptown area. With her striking green eyes and flawless smile, high cheekbones and dark flowing hair, Kendra had the looks of a model, like a toothpaste model.
Yeah.
With a smile and there's a little sparkle.
Yeah.
She and Ricky quickly fell for each other.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, well, he's a pretty hot doctor. She was a hot dentist. Smoosh. So their relationship took off fast. In the first few months, they shared elegant dinners, took lavish vacations, and filled their social media with pictures of their time together. Meanwhile, Brenda was watching all of this.
Oh, I bet she's fuming.
Yeah, she was obsessively monitoring Ricky's every move, filled with anger and jealousy. Her resentment towards Ricky and Kendra grew, she began to plot revenge. See, Brenda, if you hadn't been stalking him, you wouldn't have known all this.
Yeah.
So it's her own fault.
The only person you're hurting is yourself, Brenda.
People are allowed to move on, Brenda. Come on, babe.
Don't look, Brenda.
But Brenda didn't want to get directly involved. She wanted someone else.
Didn't she?
Nah, she wanted someone else to do the dirty work for her. I think the whole watching from a distance is suiting her to the T.
Ugh.
It's a bit is it voyeurism?
Voyeurism.
Voyeurism. Yeah, it's a bit icky. So she approached her cousin, Moses Martinez, which is a great name, and she asked him if he'd consider beating up her ex and his new girlfriend. Shocked, Moses was like, no.
Come on, Moses.
I'm not going to do that.
That is the right answer. Always no.
Always no. Can you go beat up my ex-boyfriend? Why the fuck? And the girlfriend as well, for some reason.
Yeah, she's got naught to do with it.
Yeah, so Moses was like, no, I'm not doing that. Dismissed her idea, and he just assumed that she was just venting or perhaps under the influence at the time because they were drinking together when she was going off on one. However, Brenda was serious. Her anger had consumed her, and she was set on finding someone that wouldn't hesitate to act. So she reached out to a friend, Jennifer Escobar, a former co-worker from the North Park Mall. Jennifer was going through a difficult time with her boyfriend, and Brenda used this opportunity to build a closer bond. She expressed sympathy for Jennifer's struggles and invited her to move in with her, all while keeping her own hidden motives in mind.
Fucking hell, run!
Yeah.
Run from the crazy person.
Yeah. In early August, Jennifer did move in, but she had hardly even unpacked when Brenda began talking about Ricky and Kendra. She spent so much time talking about the couple that Jennifer found herself coming up with excuses to stay away from the apartment after work. Brenda offered to buy Jennifer drugs or even a car if she would help her with her revenge on Ricky and Kendra. She said that she wanted to use a baseball bat to knock Ricky into a coma, and she wanted to kill Kendra by grabbing her from behind and stabbing her in the chest with a drug-filled hypodermic needle.
Jesus Christ.
She's been watching Dexter.
Yeah, she's insane.
Or by beating her to death. So one of the two.
It would not be my go-to methods.
No. I think she's been watching too much telly. So I obviously frightened Jennifer ended up moving out of Brenda's apartment mid-August. Brenda promptly approached one of Jennifer's friends, a 23-year-old single mother named Crystal Cortez, who had come to the apartment a couple of times to see Jennifer and let her 6-year-old son swim in the complex's pool. Crystal, who lived with her son at her grandmother's home in a low-income area of South Dallas, was struggling financially. She made $11 an hour working as a receptionist at a dental practice. Everything's to do with dentists in this story.
Yeah.
Crystal admired Brenda. Brenda seemed to have her life together. Oh, how she was wrong.
She's unhinged. Run the other way.
Yeah. Brenda's trying to find someone that's more desperate because she's tried people that are a bit more what she would consider at her level, like her cousin and whatnot, and they've refused. Jennifer's now refused, and she was a step down, so now she's going for Crystal, who was a struggling single mum. So Crystal saw Brenda as a role model. She seemed to, she seemed to have her life together. She dressed well. She wore MAC makeup. She drove a Lexus, which was in really good condition. She had 2 leather sofas, 2 big screen TVs. She seemed to Crystal like she'd be a really nice friend to have. Like I say, Crystal doesn't have any of that. Brenda started buying Crystal dinners at restaurants. Crystal listened as Brenda recounted her relationship with Ricky, then Ricky's relationship with Kendra, and said that Kendra was the reason that Ricky had stopped paying her attention and wasn't taking care of her. Crystal would go on to say that Brenda said things like, "I'm going to eliminate Kendra. I can't deal with it anymore." So Brenda offered Crystal $500 to help her carry out the killing. $500.
That's... I'm not getting out of bed for less than like 500,000.
Yeah, and also it just shows how much Brenda just thinks like Crystal's less than.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, she'll do it. 500 is a lot to her.
I'm not saying I'd kill anybody, by the way.
No. I didn't take it as an offer.
The price is wrong.
No, I wouldn't.
I'd mess it up. I wouldn't be able to. I'd be like, ugh, no. Right, so Brenda and Crystal started following Kendra around, getting to learn her routine. They started following her around town to see where she worked, and they decided on the best way to kill her, which they thought, well, maybe shooting her would be the best way. But neither had a gun and neither had any experience. They went back to Crystal's mum's house probably for a cup of tea or something. After all that stalking, it's pretty tiring.
Yeah.
A former neighbour happened to be there. He was with his friend named Christopher Love, who had brought along his children so that they could jump on the trampoline in the backyard. Christopher, who earned money selling like a bit of marijuana on the side. He was 41, tall and wiry. His body stamped with tattoos, and one of the tattoos on his back read "One Man Army" above an image of an AK-47 surrounded by bullet holes.
Oh,
so
okay.
So Brenda was like, ooh, tattoos and a gun. He looks dangerous to me.
Yeah.
And he actually did have a criminal record going back to his teenage years, and he had been convicted of aggravated assault, aggravated robbery, and burglary of a residence. He had told a friend that he wanted to start a prostitution ring, and all he needed was a bit of start-up money.
He sounds like a, stand-up guy.
Yeah. So Brenda and Crystal followed Christopher to his apartment, where they talked on his balcony. To impress Christopher, Brenda made up a story about having connections to a drug cartel. She said that she would pay Christopher a combination of drugs and cash, totaling around $3,000 in value. And if he joined her murder for hire team, she could also give him like a time supply of the odd bit of drugs. Because, she knows the cartel.
But she's lying. She can't do that.
Yeah. So he quickly accepted the offer.
Nice. Meant very sarcastically.
Yeah, I know what you meant. I knew you weren't complimenting.
No,
nice.
he just sounds like a scumbag.
Yeah, and you think scumbags would be used to other scumbags lying to them.
Yeah.
And also, what the fuck's Brenda going on about? Revenge. What revenge? He didn't cheat on her with her.
Crazy.
Oh, what revenge? He left you, babes. I'm sorry, it's sad.
He's just not that into you.
It's just not into you, babe. So on the 2nd of September, Brenda wanted the killing to happen because of her know-how still being in Ricky's everywhere and getting all of his information. She knew that Kendra and Ricky were supposed to go on a trip the day after. So she didn't want that to happen in case he might have popped the question. You never know.
Oh, you never know.
Uh-huh. And she'd also found out that they were planning to move eventually together, like thousands of miles away. So she wasn't having that. This girl needed to go. Brenda was like, today is the day. But unfortunately, Brenda's car breaks down. So she asked her cousin, Jose, if she could borrow his car, which is a Jeep, a dark-coloured Jeep. And he was like, yeah, fine. Obviously, she didn't tell him that there was a murder going on. And they needed that as a getaway vehicle. She was just like, can I borrow your car? And I was like, yes. So Crystal and Christopher follow Kendra. There's a lot of K's going on. Crystal and Christopher follow Kendra in her car, ready to pounce once she gets out of it. So she pulls into an underground car park. Christopher jumps out of the car, pulls a gun out as Kendra's getting out of her car, and shoots her into the back of her head.
Oh, shit.
That's insane. They need to chill out.
I was so hoping that this was going to be a bumbling mess and that they were going to, that they were going to get their comeuppance.
Well, it still is a bumbling mess because they've gone in an underground car park which has CCTV everywhere.
Yeah, but Kendra's still dead, right?
Yeah, unfortunately she died instantly.
That's awful.
Bless her heart. Yeah.
It's just awful. She's nothing to do with her.
No. She just got with a guy who was nice.
Also, like, how insane does she think that means she's gonna get back?
Gonna get with him, yeah. Because everyone wants to get a new girlfriend again when they've just lost their other girlfriend from murder.
That they were madly in love with.
Yeah. So, as Crystal and Christopher were driving away, they phoned Brenda to tell her that they've done it. When Brenda receives that call, she is over the moon and she cannot believe that they've actually done it. And she just thinks that she's got away with it.
Oh, Brenda, you are one sick and twisted and stupid puppy.
Yeah. So while the murder was happening, Brenda was busy getting herself an alibi and she was eating at a restaurant with a friend. Ricky, worried why Kendra wasn't home yet, started to become concerned because he spoke to her as she was leaving work and she should have been home by now.
Yeah.
He was like, what's going on? So he goes down to the car park and that's when it's all like cordoned off. And one of the officers told Ricky what had happened, that they found Kendra dead. And Ricky is devastated. The very next day, Brenda visits Ricky. Well, he ends up messaging her. She messages him randomly because she always does. And Ricky told her about Kendra. So she said that she'll bring him some groceries. So she turns up to his apartment the next day and she's absolutely ecstatic. She thinks that her plan is working, that he's going to fall in love with her. However, what Brenda didn't realise is that behind the scenes, the police were working on the investigation and they were quickly catching up to her. Eric Barnes, a veteran Dallas police homicide detective who was in charge of the murder investigation, had only one lead: a grainy surveillance video of a woman driving a black Jeep Cherokee out of a parking garage. So he decided to release the video to the news and put it on social media, and Jose happened to see it. Alarmed, he called Brenda and he was like, the fuck? Excuse me, why is my car a murder vehicle now? Brenda was like, oh, I lent that car to Crystal for the whole day. And she was like, I think Crystal has a drug problem. Maybe Crystal had been in the parking garage to try to buy drugs. Very convincing. And she was like, oh, maybe something gone wrong when she was in there. Jose was like, well, I can't drive my car around because I'm going to get pulled over. So I'm going to be a suspect in a murder. So Brenda was like, well, just paint your car a different colour. She also advised him not to tell anyone about their conversation. So that's not suspicious.
That's a bit suspicious.
After talking to his family, Jose met with Detective Barnes and told him about Brenda and Crystal because he thinks that it's his car. He recognised his car from the footage. So the police phoned up Ricky and they said, do you know this woman called Brenda? And he was like, oh yeah, I know that person. That's my ex. And the police are like, whoop, motive.
Ding, 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 ding.
Motive.
Exactly. That's what happens in detectives' brains. I know it.
That's what they do. Ding, 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 ding.
Motive.
As soon as the police hear that Brenda is Ricky's ex, they're like, okay, bingo, we have a motive. So they contact Brenda at this point. So when she's in the interview room, at first the detective is basically paying her no attention, just kind of ignoring her. Well, she pulled her t-shirt down to show a bit of cleavage and was like pushing her boobs up.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's going to get you out of murder. You got to have some fucking nice tits to get you out of murder, babe.
Aw, just try to murder tits. I'd love
Murder tits.
Right, so the detective was just ignoring her.
Oh, I bet that was driving her mad.
Yeah, I was just like, look at my boobies. And he was just ignoring her, and he was like, where were you on the 2nd of September? And Brenda was like, well, I was at dinner with my friend. Look, here's the receipt. And she just pulls out this receipt. And the detective was like, oh my God, I've never seen anyone pull a receipt out that quickly to prove where they were.
No.
That is suspicious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because normally you'd be like, where's your motive? Like, oh, I think I was having dinner at that time. Well, you wouldn't be like, oh, I've got a receipt. They'd be like, is there any way that you could prove that? And then it kind of jog your memory, because I'm pretty sure you'd be stressed about being questioned.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Brenda gave the detective the receipt of the Chili's restaurant that she was at. But it was so neatly folded, it was just weird, as if she'd folded it in a way that she wanted to keep this for evidence. Mine would have been screwed up in my pocket or at the bottom of my bag or something like that.
Mine too.
If I even kept it. Yeah. The detective is super suspicious and pretty convinced that Brenda is involved in some way, but they just don't have any evidence right now. So he changed tactics and he says, listen, I have Crystal in the next room and she's telling me everything, so you need to come clean.
Oh, God, that old chestnut.
Yeah. She just shook her head no. But Detective Barnes persisted. This all involves around you, and it's all because of something you couldn't have. You couldn't get him back as long as she was alive. Can you feel the drama?
I
feel the
can.
intense.
I can.
Could feel the drama.
It's like we're there in the room.
The smouldering intensity. Barnes didn't take his eyes off Brenda. I think you hated the fact that you weren't good enough for Ricky.
Ooh,
Maybe he didn't like the way you looked. Maybe he didn't want a dental hygienist anymore, which is what Brenda was. He wanted a full-on dentist. Maybe he didn't like that your parents weren't well off and that she was better well off than you. Maybe he didn't want a girlfriend from Pleasant Grove. Maybe his standards were too high for you. But for whatever reason, you weren't good enough for him.
Whoa.
And that's a hard pill to swallow, a very hard one to swallow, to the point where you look in the mirror and say, what did she have that I didn't have? And that pushed you, didn't it? I'm loving the speech. I know it's a little bit mean. Like, if she didn't do it, that's a little bit mean. I'd be like, the detective said I wasn't pretty. But,
no, I'm glad. Fuck her.
Yeah. You know, she still didn't crack with all this. Barnes was like, I don't think you're a bad person. You know what? I think you've been stomped on. I feel like you've been hurt, like you've run out of options. Everybody has a point where they break, and this is what I think happened. For a moment, it looked like Brenda was going to crack, but she didn't. And Barnes realised that he was going to have to let her go because he didn't have any more evidence. You know, that's why he was going so hard, because he was getting to the end of when they have to let them go. So he had her booked into the Dallas County Jail for an outstanding warrant for an unpaid traffic ticket, which I fucking love that they have that in America.
It is good that they have that, isn't it, actually?
Yeah, so many serial killers get caught on like a random unpaid parking ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, he brought her in jail for an unpaid traffic ticket, but she quickly paid the fine and then was released. So it hadn't actually been that long. So meanwhile, Detective Barnes arrested Crystal on capital murder charges. A few days later, police learned through phone records that Crystal had been texting Christopher Love in the days leading up to Kendra's murder. As they searched Christopher Love's car, they found the murder weapon in the glove compartment, and they had him arrested. Then they went looking for Brenda to arrest her, but she had already boarded a bus to Mexico and was like, bye-bye, see you later, alligator.
Adios, amigos.
And for 6 months, she lived quietly with relatives in the town of Torreon, 200 miles west of Monterrey in north-central Mexico, doing nothing that would bring attention to herself. She was the same kind of quiet Brenda that she had once been in Dallas before she went crazy. And when the FBI, working with the Mexican authorities, eventually found her, she did surrender peacefully. A jury convicted Christopher Love of capital murder and sentenced him to death. Crystal Cortez, the 27-year-old getaway driver, pleaded guilty to murder and struck a deal for a 35-year sentence with the possibility of parole if she testified against Christopher Love and Brenda. So she took that. Crystal was really sad because the detectives asked her, why did you agree to this? Why did you do this? And she was just like, I was so broke that I just wanted a way out. And a share of $3,000 was just out of her mind. And it would have got her out. I mean, not that it excuses it, but she was kind of she kind of justified it at the time that it would have helped her and her son. But obviously that didn't work out, and you shouldn't murder people.
No.
So Brenda's trial began after that. And in the courtroom, she always wore long dresses or like a pantsuit, oversized black rimmed glasses. Not once did she turn around to look at Kendra's family or her own family or the other spectators packed into her gallery. Nor did she look at many of the witnesses who testified. But then Ricky took the stand. Perhaps Brenda realised that this would be her last chance to see him, and the last chance for him to see her. Still as a statue, she kept her eyes on him as he spoke, but refused to turn in her direction, except for a few seconds when judge or the lawyer, whoever it was, asked him to identify her, where there was a pause. Reluctantly, Ricky glanced at Brenda, and they locked eyes. Then Ricky looked away, and he was like, yeah, that's her. It took jurors only 20 minutes to return a guilty verdict for capital murder, and the judge sentenced Brenda to life in prison without parole, so she didn't get the death penalty. So I'm glad she's away forever.
Absolutely.
Because I always think the masterminds throughout this, the ones that hire the killers, should always get more.
Yeah.
I don't think one of them should have got capital murder and then the other not, because he wouldn't have done that if she didn't pay him to.
Yeah.
And the thing is, she wasn't even going to pay him. She was lying.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she would have given him $3,000 and then would have fucked off somewhere. I don't know. Or would have been, I think in her head she was like, I'm going to be with a rich doctor after that. So.
Insane.
Yeah.
I mean, absolute scumbag, but yeah, she's no better.
No. I think it's because of his priors as well that he got the death penalty. I think he's disputing it, not appealing it. So he might get it appealed eventually. But there we are. That's my story for this week.
That is so fucking sad, because actually
messed up, innit?
The only person who had literally nothing, she did nothing wrong. She got with a single guy. She was having a nice relationship. You know, she wasn't the mistress or anything. She just met a guy.
I mean, not like a mistress would deserve that, but it's more understandable that you'd think that, that they want to get their own back. But all she did was they split up and he got with another girl months later.
Obviously, nobody deserves that, you know.
No, nobody, that's what I'm saying. Nobody deserves that, but it's just
she was completely innocent. Completely innocent.
Completely, yeah. She was just...
So Brenda's now in prison and never getting out.
Yeah.
Good. Hope you rot, you piece of shit.
Yeah. And I hope poor Ricky has managed to pull through
horrendous,
a horrible time in his life. Yeah.
Awful.
Bless him.
So yeah, nutcase.
Mm-hmm.
Bitches big crazy.
I mean, yeah, but that's another fucking level of crazy.
Next level bitches big crazy.
Yeah, that's like...
If I do reckon that, well, no. If she hadn't got hold of all of his passwords and that, I don't think she would have got to that stage, because she wouldn't have had all the stuff fueling. She was seeing all the messages that he was sending to girls, and it was sending her crazy. But he was allowed to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's right to do that.
Oh,
and she's just a bit of a psycho. I mean,
yeah. I mean, even if they were still together,
psycho killer.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Brenda.
Yeah, even if they were still together and he was doing that, just because you're an asshole doesn't mean you get to be shot.
No, awful.
Yeah,
I think in a relationship, if you feel the need to start checking each other's phones and you're all jealous and weird, then it's probably not.
It's already over.
Yeah, it's not the right relationship.
No.
Nope.
Yeah, well, there we are.
Thanks, Becky.
Thanks so much for your great stories, girls. As always, everyone can check them out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you may listen. Please remember to share with your friends, talk about us to your friends, get everyone listening, because we're great. You can find us at all the usual social media spots, and we hope to hear from you soon. Stay safe, guys.
Don't kill people and stalk them.
Don't. It's... awful.
It's weird.
No stalkies. Mm-mm. Even so, though, you can still keep it weird.
Yeah.
The family would Oh, fuck you, motherfucker.